Big weekend coming up at Gulfstream Park, Florida Derby weekend, and that is part of the Road to the Derby package, Saturday Florida Derby Day, where you can save money when you purchase this package and get the past performances for all the big three-year-old events leading into the Kentucky Oaks and the Derby. It started last week. You can still save money now, and you can get the Gulfstream Saturday PPs and the Clocker Report, as well as Oaklawn Park past performances. My good friend Barry Spears joins me to preview the big races on Saturday at Gulfstream Park. It's Florida Derby Day. Barry, the time flies, my friend. It wasn't long ago when this meet was just opening up back around Thanksgiving, and we have made it to the big day. But 10 stakes races, they sure know how to do the big days at Gulfstream Park, huh?
Oh man, yeah, they really load them up, and these cards are huge and full fields and great opportunities every time.
So we'll be diving into those Daily Racing Form past performances. We're looking at the Formulator PPs, and we're going to look at races 9 through 14. Late pick 5 starts in the 10th, but the 9th race is the Gulfstream Park Oaks, so it's an interesting one. Barry, they'll go a mile in the 16th in the Grade 2 Gulfstream Park Oaks, and the Queen's MG was a horse who was precocious. She was good early on, kind of tailed off a little bit, but she's bounced back with a couple nice efforts recently. Still not sure ultimately how far she wants to go, but she's solid. Like, she's been very honest throughout her career. She's a good measuring stick horse. And then 5G, well, her form going long has been excellent, and her 2 races going long have been really good. Those are the 2 on the morning line that are 8-5 and I think 9-5 on the morning line. Do you like either of them? Do you not like either of them? Or how would you look at this race to play?
Yeah, they're both tough reads. Honestly, they haven't really run a bad race between the two of them. I like the way the Queen's MG has come back for the 3-year-old season, and she seems to be stepping up, but I don't know, there's just something about her that doesn't scream like she wants to go more than a mile.
Totally agree.
I
Agree.
really can't pinpoint it, but maybe it's just the way that she runs. It doesn't seem like she wants to stretch out too much farther than this.
And while I respect the heck out of what she's done too, and I'm not going to take anything away from her most recent race, in the Devona Dale, it was a field of 5. Her main rivals were Lucara and Ballerina d'Oro. She was on the inside, and she got a really great opening on the inside. Lucara, you could tell she was like kind of scrubbing early on in the race. She just kind of regressed because she had a big performance in the race before. And then Ballerina d'Oro doesn't have any early speed. So like all of a sudden it was a field of 5, and her 2 main rivals, you could tell pretty early on they weren't going to win the race, and they had no shot. So again, that's horse racing. You got to take advantage of the situation, but I don't know. I'm kind of with you. Like, I don't know how good overall she really is. I thought the races from 5G were pretty good. I think if you're betting this race, the one that I'm intrigued by, Barry, is the 1, Paradise City, because she was awesome in her debut. And coming off that debut, I remember the next 2 races expecting big performances from her. She actually faced the boys in one of those races. And before the cash run, there was an article in the Daily Racing Form, and I think Dave Grenig talked with Safi Joseph Jr. about this filly, and they said what they've noticed and what they're going to try to do with her is she needs to be covered up almost until they want her to run. Because if put into the race too early, she flattens out and she doesn't finish. So if you notice in her last 2 races, the January 1st and January 30th, they've kind of taken her back a little farther early, waited, and then they pushed the button. In the cash run, nobody went with 5G early on, so she didn't really have a whole lot of help in there. But in her most recent start, she sat, waited, and she launched. And I think that's just what they need to do with her. So I'm going to give her a shot, because I like when I know that connections are trying something or have figured something out, or it looks like they may have gotten, the best out of her. I'm going to give her a shot. And also, Barry, anytime I can, sing "Take Me Down to the Paradise City where the grass is green," I will do so. And shout out Can't Hardly Wait every time I see this name and think about that movie. But who are others that you might look at? We talked a little bit about the Queen's MG. What do you think about 5G?
I think 5G is solid in the spot. She's going to definitely be the hard to beat here. But I will give a nod to Safi's other horse early on, and I like the way this horse, when the stretch out, the jump up and buyer speed figure, that really caught my eye first. Then the start at Colonial is very interesting because of the fact that we know that that track was really, really, really speed favoring for most of that day. This horse kind of bucked the trend a little bit and closed almost to win, and I think that did that horse a lot of good. If you get any kind of pace in here, which I think we might, because the outside horse, Anna's Promise, should be vying for the lead with 5G.
She's to me the real key to the race, right? Her, because
Should be
she should be able to put at least enough pressure on 4G to make them both work
work.
a little bit and to
Mhm.
keep the race honest, right?
Right. And the idea is early on is to slide into that spot in front of the stablemate. So really it's going to be like a two-pronged attack from Safi, because early on might most likely get the pocket trip with the one behind him.
We're looking for the price here, Safis.
Right.
Both of us.
Exactly.
Both of us. Yeah.
They're gonna kind of go at it, but it's gonna be tough. I mean, honestly, right now, if you were to say, hey, make a bet right now, I'd go with Exacta's 5G over the 1 and the 2.
I played. We did a preview of this race for the Sports Grid show, and my play for this race was an exact. I went 1-4, I think, with 1-4-7, with 1-4-6-7. I think I was trying to beat the Queen's MG in the first spot. So by using 5G and the one mainly building around Barry with the 2 early on as the price play there. The Oaks, the Gulfstream Park Oaks. So I guess like right now it's good cheer. And then honestly, it feels like it's kind of good cheer and
Everybody
really yeah. And it's not even like she's just been better, but
else.
no one else has really kind of stamped themselves, like jumped up and been like, okay, this one's the head of the division out here
I
for
guess
sure.
5G would be the closest
Yeah.
to that. But
If she wins this race, she goes in really nice form recently, right? So I think she would be one that could definitely become another major player. But right now, someone in the Gulfstream Park Oaks looking to put themselves on the map as a top tier contender in the Oaks this year. So that's the Kentucky or the Gulfstream Park Oaks with Kentucky Oaks points up for grabs. Let's turn the page to the Sanibel Island. This one kicks off the late pick 5, 7.5 furlongs on the turf course. Barry, in reading the preview article at drf.com, it sounds like Mark Casse is going to scratch the 4. It's Witchcraft, but will be running both the 1 and the 10. So looks like those two are both going to be in for Casse. I think both those two horses actually are pretty big players. And my major thoughts on this race: Savetta, the 6, I'm not going to play. She can beat me. I think she was a little precocious. I think she's a horse who's going to take money. The cutback will help her, but I'm going to probably let her beat me. The 3, who I liked a lot last time out, Barry, and just missed. She had a sick beat because she had some trouble early on. She moves up the rail. She takes the lead, and then Nitrogen just nails her. So her 2 races, excellent. 0 knocks on what she's done on the track, but she's got a month missing in the work tab here. That's like really concerning because, she wins in January 4th. Then you see February 5th, February 12th, but then nothing between February 12th and March the 13th. So if she missed a month, that might have been going into another, like with the previous race like this, right? The race for this division, for this group that she might have been getting ready to run in, and then she couldn't. And then following that, time off. So I get a little concerned when you have a short price horse that's, going to have some holes you can poke in them, right?
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, even this horse's record at this point, one start in November, another in January, and you see a month off in between.
Exactly.
So this doesn't bode well for the physical aspect for this horse. So I'm skeptical, to say the least. A horse that I want to give a shot to is the 5, La Cantera. um, the races that this horse has been in on the turf have been pretty good. Enough so to the point where I think this horse is pretty versatile and probably can rate a lot more than what the past performances might say. And that might go a long way in this race, especially with us being down on horses like the 3 and the 6.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so that changes things a lot for me as far as who I'm narrowing in on. The
Sure.
5 at that big of a price seems like a better player and probably won't be 20-1. And Mrs. Worldwide seems like really logical in this spot, especially coming off that first effort on the turf to improve off of that, and that buyer number probably puts that one right there at the wire.
She fits really well here. She was right behind Vixen last time out. No knocks overall. If you put a line through the race on the dirt, 2 starts back, everything is very, very good. The one, Candy Quest, really like the way she visually was able to step forward when she went from 5 furlongs to a mile in the 16th. She'll save all the ground from the inside, and she has more tactical speed than that last race might look like, because she was in good position, but she got stuck in a pretty bad spot and kind of got shuffled. Then things really opened up for her at the top of the lane, and she ends up getting like a really nice opening, and she moves and she goes on, and she actually kind of strikes the front at the top of the lane and is able to hold on for the entire stretch. I think she's pretty good. I think she's kind of handy, a little bit versatile too. So I love the rail for her to save ground, 3rd start of the form cycle. I did think the inside outside, the 2 Cassies, were both pretty live. I'm worried a bit about the trip for the 10. Just don't want to get hooked wide, but she was right there behind Miss Worldwide, and she was kind of behind horses and had to alter course a little bit down to the inside and shift around. That might have cost her just a little bit of ground late in that race. So I think Joelle's got to make a decision here early on. Can you grab hold and take back 4 or 5 lengths so maybe you're not all that wide, or are you going to go on with it and try to clear from out there and sit as close as possible? I think he has options. He's just got to be decisive one way or the other. I'll probably throw the 8 in the mix too, Barry, Bunratty Manor, just because I'd imagine there are versions of this race where this is a horse who gets to be forwardly placed, gets to sit close throughout. Another one who's going to go 3rd start off of the layoff. So those are a couple that'll be in the mix for me. But kind of the way that you were pointing it out, when I open up a race and I see a few of the favorites vulnerable, I'm looking for bigger prices. This is definitely a race where I'm fine using 4 or 5 horses that are all going to be a little bit bigger prices.
Oh yeah, I mean this is kind of like one of those free-for-all races if you don't like the favorites. And the morning line is a little wonky because I think a lot of these horses are going to be shorter prices than
I agree.
what they're projected, like almost all of them. So
I swear, I agree too. Like they all feel like they were slightly off. Like the one doesn't feel like it'll be 8-1. That feels like a
no,
horse that's like 4-1,
5-1,
5-1,
4 or
right?
5-1,
Totally agree.
9-2.
And the same thing for the other Cassie, which will probably be 4-1, right in that range from the outside. Even the 8, if this horse was more like 5-1, that wouldn't shock me at all. Bunratty Manor. And maybe it's because we're a little cold on the chalk, so maybe we'll get a little better value. But I don't think the 3 will be 5-2 either.
No,
I thought
I
they
think
would be like up a little bit.
yeah,
And
slightly.
even like 7-2-ish, right? Like a bunch of horses in that 3-1 to 5-1 range.
Right, a lot of them, like Civetta.
Yep.
There's a lot of questions with the horses that are going to get bet. So
Yeah,
I think they're going to be kind of close in the wagering, no
I
matter
completely
how
agree.
low it is. But that in itself opens it up
Spreads it
for
all out.
a better price. Yeah.
Makes it challenging for us pick 5 players. That'll be putting in the late pick 5 starting right here in the 10th. Let's move to the Army Mule, race number 11. 7 furlongs on the dirt here for the boys. And one of the horses who's going to take a lot of money in this race, and we have to kind of start the talking with, is Knightsbridge, who is really talented and has 2 monster wins. But we were just talking about a horse in the previous race who had, some physical issues and some layoff lines and maybe concerns about the work tab. Well, this guy doesn't necessarily have gaps in his recent work tab, but in his racing schedule in his career, you could see every time he raced, he had a few months off after at least. So is this a positive that he's coming back and being able to put 2 starts together? It might be. Maybe he's going to be a little bit fitter here, but he might be one of those types of horses, Barry, that runs really hard when they run and that needs a little more time in between their starts. He was really disappointing in that last race. Like, he battled on the lead and they went fast, but he Inveigle went right by him. And I am a little bit worried, like, there is similar type speed in here. Like, it could be a replay of what happened last time out. Do you think he gets more fit and steps forward off of that? Or do you think he's maybe a little disappointing and maybe a horse who was good in his first couple and hasn't been able to really live up to that?
As delicately as they handle this horse, I'm going to side with the negative.
Yeah, the latter. I agree.
Yeah,
Sometimes the intention of the connections kind of tell you the story.
Right. And you see look at the career. November 20th in 2023, then March 2024, October 24, and then February 2025. It's clear that this horse has some sort of physical issue, that they can't keep this horse on the track. I guess it is a positive that this horse is on the track again, but I have to take it with a skeptical view, even though this horse has basically run faster than everybody in this race. It's a tough task, considering the horse is coming in on a 2-race losing streak. In that last one, had really no excuse.
No.
So I'm going to take a skeptical view of that horse. I actually like the one, How Great Is Nate, quite a bit here. And I think the key is getting back to one-turn events. This horse over the summer of 2023 was running in longer races, and I honestly don't think this horse wants to go that far, and was faring pretty well against some good competition. Now this horse drops in sort of to a more logical spot. And I say drop in because this horse was in the Haskell, didn't run all that badly, and in the Pegasus, which was a much stronger race than this one. Given the layoff, I like the Bullet on March 23rd. The workout before that, going 5 furlongs from the gate, is excellent. The horse seems to be coming into this race as well as anybody. I got to give that source a shot, especially at that price at 10-1 on the morning line, and probably get most of that.
Yeah, I think you'll get a fair price on him. Totally agree. I mean, he's got some big races last year. He's just a horse who or in a couple of years back, like, right. He's one of those, like, out of sight, out of mind horses.
Right. You hadn't seen him
about.
And it's like, man, he's pretty good.
Yeah. The one for me this is another race where I think Knightsbridge will take a lot of the money. He always does.
Yeah.
But the one horse who I think is going to be shorter than he is the 9. Play Me a Tune. I just don't think he's going to be 8-1 because his form overall is really good. Even the dirt race, his only dirt race was in the Mr. Prospector, and it was his first start in a couple month layoff. So look at how strong this race has come back. The winner, Mufasa, really nice. Runner up, White Barrio, coming out of that race, he wins the Pegasus World Cup with a 109 buyer. Third place finisher, Little Vic, coming out of that race, he wins the Hooper with a 94 buyer, grade 3, and he beats Implementation in that race, who's in this Army Mule. And then Play Me a Tune, who was in that race, comes out of it, and he wins the Forgo, a stakes over at Turfway Park. Even Super Chow, who was behind Play Me a Tune, he came out of that race to run one of his best races. In fact, his career high buyer speed figure, winning the Gulfstream Park Sprint that day. So when you talk about really strong races that have come back live, that was one of them, Barry. So I don't hold it against him that he finished 5th in that Mr. Prospector in his only dirt start. He came right back out of that with another good synthetic race. Even his Woodbine Mile last year, that was not a bad effort at all. He finished 5th that day behind, like, horses who were just legitimate milers on the turf. And he was behind horses that had a little bit of trouble. I just think this is a nice horse overall. And when we did the Pick 5 strategy video on the DRF website, me and David Aragona did the Gulfstream one this week, and we both had the 9 as, like, our key horse in the race. And I was just expecting, because we were talking about how the the morning lines for these races popped up a little bit late this week. So you and I were talking about these races a little bit the last couple of days. We'd already kind of looked at them and handicapped them, but we hadn't seen the morning lines. I mean, I would have guessed, honestly, if it was me, I would have guessed like 4-1.
3-1. Yeah.
I would have guessed half of like the 8-1 but so maybe I'm wrong and maybe I'm a little bit off. If not, that's where you find the value. It feels like a really good spot for this horse in this race, where a lot of the other horses, you have some questions. Like Inveigled ran awesome last time. That was sort of the time you wanted to have him, though, at 14-1. Now he'll be 7-2. Is he going to run that same race, get the same perfect trip like he did last time? I don't know. You and I are looking for horses that should be bigger prices, like the one. How great is Nate?
Yeah, and the thing about Play Me a Tune, definitely has every right to win this race, but it's for me, it's a hard leap for that horse to get anything on the dirt. Only because that race, I know it was strong, but I'm not a believer. Let's just say that.
Barry's a little colder on Play Me a Tune.
I don't know. Just because I understand how they run races on the dirt at Gulfstream, I don't know where they're really going to place that horse, because he doesn't really want to get involved too early, and being out wide might cost him. And that's my only concern. But if he's 8-1, I'm definitely going to play him. If he's 4-1, I'd be on the fence. But I do think Of a Revolution does have a shot in this race too. Is very versatile, can be on the lead, and seems to be improving from 2 years ago. Something must have went really wrong with this horse, surgery, something major, and then comes back in August and runs a nice race off the bench, runs another one in an ungraded stake at Oaklawn, which at that point was a real tough. Like, those two races had to be awfully tough over there. Now comes over here and probably will have a way better trip than what they got the last two times. And that might go a long way in this race, but this one is for me is kind of a spread race, even with Knightsbridge in it.
The other horse I wanted to mention, I think the 3 Implementation fits pretty well. Just
can't
the trip. Yeah, that's the key, is like, what kind of trip will the horse get? When you look and just isolate the dirt races, they're pretty good. Like, they fit pretty well with this group. There actually was behind King's Barnes, a horse who kind of like Knightsbridge has had some big early wins, and you see First Mission earlier on in the career. Like, that's a good effort. There's something there. I actually wouldn't be surprised if the 3 and the 9 flip-flop in prices. Like, if the 9 was like 9-2 and the 3 was like 8-1, the 3 would then be more playable, right, at that price. Like, when you see the 9-2 staring at you, you're like, okay. So I guess price would really matter with Implementation, and what you want to do when you start with Knightsbridge in this race, because you have to kind of start your conversation with, what am I going to do with this guy? Will be a short price in here. Barry likes the 1. How great is Nate? Gives a nod also to the 6 Of a Revolution at a little bit of a price. I think the 9 Play Me a Tune is going to be a really, really nice fit in here. And I also think horses like the 3 and the 8 make sense, but I'm worried about both of them. Actually, all 3 of my horses, 3, 4, and 8, being a little bit shorter, or 3, 8, and 9 being a little bit shorter than where I would want to play them. So the Army Mule, race 11 on Saturday at Gulfstream Park. Let's get you to the Sand Springs. This one is race number 12, mile and a 16th on the turf course here. Fillies and mares, 4-year-olds and up. What makes it a little tricky, Barry, just from a starting point here, is I think if you were just looking at this race and saying the most logical winner of this race based on their recent form, it would probably be the 12 in our time, who's coming out of solid stakes races, was 3rd in the Pegasus World Cup Filly and Mare Turf, was only beaten a length 3 3/4 that day when you and I were at Gulfstream Park, came back in the Honey Fox, ran really well again, finished 2nd, was 3-1 that day. So dropping out of graded stakes races into a spot like this, when you look at her race on December 14th, that's the same type of spot that this one is. So she fits really well on class. But the problem is, Barry, she's drawn to the outside and she's pretty one-dimensional speed. Like, she doesn't really want to sit off very much. And like right to her inside, the 10 is a pretty quick horse. Ocean Club, who has speed. You go through the field, there's a couple others that I think want to be sitting close and shouldn't be too far out of it. Also, like down on the inside, Spinning Colors, the 2 wants to go. And Moving Up, who's another Safi Joseph Jr. trainee, can also go, but will probably want to be forwardly placed, saving ground on the inside. So I am a little worried about the trip when you have the 2-1 morning line favorite way to the outside and kind of a one-dimensional speed horse, where on paper totally fits. Drop in class makes sense. Just a little worrisome when again, you want to start with the favorites, see if you can poke holes in them. What do you think about In Our Time?
Yeah, this is going to be a tough trip. I mean, we've seen this time and time again at Gulfstream Park when you have a speed horse on the way outside like that. They're probably going to get the lead, but how much energy is it going to take for you to get there? And that usually does them in late. The horse has every right to hang around, but I think that they're going to catch up with him late. So I'm looking elsewhere in a lot of different places.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, you can that's what's cool about races like this. You feel like there are 4 or 5 horses that are prices that you'd like, that you can kind of make a case for. Whether or not you like them in this particular spot, going through them, I could understand people making cases for a lot of different horses here.
Yeah, I'll start with the longest one, the 3, Vina Arana.
Absolutely.
Has to be able to fit here in this spot, even though the horse just broke the maiden, almost won a Group 3 over in Ireland last May. Why not? I mean, a rightful break here or there, or even this horse might actually be better. This isn't a huge stellar field or anything. These horses kind of hard knocking and kind of run in the same level a lot.
So as you're talking, I'm going to pull this race up a little bit because it was pretty impressive. So this is the 10. This was at Saratoga. This is her only race in the U.S. She's the 10 in this field. So she's towards the rear early on going into the first turn, and she's second from the back. So she's 11th of 12 in this field. And at one point when they get going a little bit here, she's like 15 lengths out of it. So she's not even on your screen yet. Okay, now she just came into your screen at the back of the pack. So she was way behind early on. And if you watch her as we keep getting a little closer towards the back, now she's going to really start to move into contention. And this is a visually very impressive race for a horse. First time in the U.S. She's still got a ton of work to do from the back, but now she tips out, and watch her just down the middle of the track. And I think you kind of hear it in Frank's voice.
Very strongly on the outside, and here comes Vina Arana eating up ground with each and every stride. Vina Arana.
It's funny when you hear the like, whoa, in the voice,
In a hand ride too. That
wrapped up.
I mean, that was really confident. I just knew, watching that replay that Tyler just knew he had those horses measured from way back. That was impressive, like you said.
So she had some time
and the splits weren't all that quick either.
No, not to win that way. Right? Where you just in the way where you just inhale the field quickly and then you're geared down. And something went wrong because she was off from August, but she's been training pretty steadily since the beginning of February. So she's got a steady tab since she started back in the morning, and the race that she won has already come back live because we saw the second place finisher, Catalyze, come back and win in their next start. And Catalyze ran well in races since then. The fourth place finisher came back to win their next start and has won back-to-back races since that race. And even the last place finisher came out of that race, dropped in class, and went over to Parks and faced Softer and broke the maiden. So the race has come back really strong. The tab looks pretty steady. It just will be, is this horse ready to fire off the bench? But she was ready to fire off a little bit of a layoff in August before. And I don't have any reason to believe she can't. Like, I think this barn is capable enough to get her ready to fire a big one. Joel seems like he fits her perfect too.
Yeah, no, it's perfect. With Tyler being out, not even riding this horse anyway, but yeah, that one's really interesting. I don't think 15-1 is going to be the price, but it's definitely going to be longer than
Like
most.
8, right?
Yeah,
Like something like that fits with this group.
yeah. The other horse that I'm keen in on is Breath Away, the 6.
Yeah.
Um,
Legit
even really
trouble.
good company. That Saffron Moon race, that horse is legit. Ran really good. Venencia was in there that beat this horse 3 back, barely. Be Your Best, who went on to win the Pegasus World Cup Turf.
You had that one that day.
Yes, I did. But even before that, this horse has a real good late kick. If you look at all this horse's races, even when she loses, she still is flying. And I think you're going to get the same kind of effort. Dylan Davis is like the perfect match for this horse. So I expect her to really run well, getting away from those types.
She kind of got sneaky, like sneakily shuffled back in her race last time out, where she was way closer than that early in the race, but she kind of kept losing positioning. And you notice she went from she loses like 3 lengths even in the first call, like if you're looking at the running line, because she just kind of keeps getting beat to spots. And she ran really well in that race. She can sit a little closer before she launches. She should get a great trip. Completely agree with you. Like the 2 horses you started with, I had as my number 2 and number 3 horses. So they're going to be all over for me.
I think the problem with that is she was outclassed.
Yeah, she couldn't finish.
I think she was outclassed
that much with those
field.
horses that were a little better than her. So she's got to get better position. And even in this group, she could probably close with a group like this a little bit better than with that group. Either way, yeah, she fits really, really well. I'll mention a couple. The 11, 5 Towns. Yes. Makes a ton of sense,
I
too.
like this horse a lot, too.
She was behind Ocean Club and in the middle of Ocean Club and Breath Away, and could get a really nice trip in here, maybe getting the jump on them. So definitely think she fits really well. The one that's a bigger price that I'm going to use in some spots is the 7, Autumn Evening. So she ran pretty well in the Royal Delta last time out in that race with Dazzling Move and Grand Job, probably a little better than the speed figures would suggest. And then when you look at her dam, was a 6-time winner on the turf and was really solid going long on the turf. So this is a horse who's already pretty solid. She proved last time out to me that she can get the mile in a 16th. And now there's a possibility that she could even have some upside on the grass. I'm going to throw her in some of my late pick 5s and late exotics at a really fair price. She's a type of horse who can kind of put herself in striking range. And then now can she just hold on for a piece? She'll be a really fair price. Autumn Evening. What do we do with the 1? Moving on up. The other.
I like the 1.
She can sit a pretty good trip, right?
Absolutely. Get right behind Spinning Colors and kind of make her way, just into position to ready to strike. Last race was really good off the bench, and you know how I like that. When they come off the bench and they run a really good race, usually that second time is a jump up, second or third time. Safi does this a lot. I mean, if you go through his winners, or even when you see them in the past performances, where they were last to where they win, you'll see this a lot. And
it warms your tummy too when it's like first time as a 4-year-old and they make that
exactly
a really good effort, and you just feel like, okay, cool, now they can come back and step forward off of that. Even moving on up, the 1, 10-1 should be sitting a nice trip from the inside. Yeah, those were a lot of the horses that were on my radar. Barry was starting out with the 3 via Arana, then went to the 6 Breath Away. I have both of them in the mix for sure. I'm also going to mention the 11, 5 Towns. The 1 we both feel like is very live and usable, moving on up. And then a big long shot I threw in the 7, even Autumn Evening below them. So a challenging Sand Springs as we turn the page to race number 13. This one is the 4th leg of the pick 5 sequence. This one is the Appleton, going 1 mile on the turf course, 4-year-olds and upward. some of the horses in here that'll take money. I do think there is one horse who is just fantastically spotted because you look at his form overall, and every time Major Dude steps up and faces this a little bit tougher, he gets overmatched. And then you can understand why the Connections will try it again, because he'll run a couple big races. Like, you look at his form from last year, he got good couple starts of 2024. Second, comes back and wins. Pretty impressive. Earns a 97 buyer speed figure at Saratoga. So they throw him in the 4-star Dave. Just in a little too tough in that grade 1. So they drop out of that race into an allowance race. He wins. He's off for a few months. He's in the grade 2 Fort Lauderdale, where he basically just has to run the same race. That's his ceiling, and he wins. But when he steps up in the Pegasus and he has to go a little bit faster, he runs the same exact race. It's not good enough. But he drops back to the Canadian turf. He ran a winning race again last time out. It was the same exact sort of race. If you see his last 7 races, I think, or 8 races, 6 of them, he has a buyer between 95 and 97. I just about as consistent as you're going to find. You know what you're going to get from him.
Yeah, and he towers over this field.
It does. It's a great spot.
He's going to be real tough to beat here.
Absolutely.
I mean, he is honestly a lot better than a horse than Ice Chocolate is, unfortunately. Even though those buyer numbers look like it. I mean, Ice Chocolate was getting beat by way worse horses than Major Dude last year. And he's kind of surprised him in that one race where he jumped and went to the front, where Jose Ortiz kind of outthought everybody.
Yeah.
And we haven't seen the horse since, which isn't a good idea, or not good idea, but isn't a good sign.
Yep.
It's just hard to get around Major Dude here, but I think Roos might show up for a piece of this.
The number 5, Roos, who is moving from the synthetic back to the turf and has really nice turf form overall. The one other one for me would be Abramar, who just by looking at last year and what he was doing last year, and then saying, okay, when he had to go a little farther than a mile, some of those races, this might be a little too much for him. Like, don't even really worry about the mile and 5/16 at Kentucky Downs in the Nashville Derby. 2 starts back. It's a really good race at Ellis Park behind Cameo Performance, who you actually liked, I think, a couple weekends or last time we talked at a fair price. Carson's Run, that's a grade 1 winner. That's a really good effort there at Monmouth Park. The Murphy behind Fulminio, that's a good race. Like, those are all solid races. And now for him, can he have grown up a little bit between now and 4, right? The last time we saw him in August, is maybe he a little bit more mature? Maybe he's a little bigger and better, because this barn can absolutely get him ready to fire off the layoff. I'm not quite worried about the layoff as much. I just need to see him, that he's grown up a little bit to stack up with Major Dude. But I give a horse like this that's got upside more than some of the others that we kind of know who they are, right? We've kind of seen their best.
That's why Seminole Chief interests me.
Sure, completely agree. This was my 3rd horse in here. Lightly raced with some upside.
Right, exactly. And keeping pretty good company. And those 2 races on the turf are probably the best races this horse have run. So there could be some upside, like you said.
Absolutely. I had the same 2 horses underneath them, because I agree. Like, I'll play a bigger ticket probably where I single Major Dude here. I think that he fits pretty well, especially if you're in the other races. Maybe you're a little cold on like Knightsbridge, right? Or and this is one that you're fine kind of keying in on. It's just a great spot for him. Like, this is a spot that he's a little bit better than this group. Not a little bit, like a lot better than this group. And he should be in more of a grade 2, grade 3, but they can put him down, get him a confidence boost here, and then probably get him back up in another mile spot somewhere in, a grade 2-ish race. But he fits very, very well. And I think you were kind of hitting on it. Where favorites seem like they stand out is when the favorite looks really good and the horse who might be the second choice doesn't really look as good on paper, right?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, you could see a horse like Fly to W at a huge price. This horse is going to be big price. Finishing second in this race. This horse has good form, is a hard knocker, been around, but is a horse that likes the action, is always around the wire at the finish.
The horse if I'm playing like tries and stuff, especially ones where I would maybe use Major Dude on top, I'm throwing the 3 in at like a major price for a horse who could possibly get the lead and hang on for a share or show some speed down on the inside. I don't know if he's good enough to win, but like you're saying, we have Major Dude on a tier above, and then the rest of this field, they're not separated by all that much. Like, you can look for some big prices underneath. So Florida Derby. Let's finish things up with the Florida Derby, 1.125 miles on the main track, my friend. Sovereignty was so impressive coming off the layoff. Basically, the last 2 times we've seen him, he's run some of the better races in the division. At the point when he won the Street Sense, that was a really good race. He beat Tiztastic and Sandman. We saw Tiztastic come back and win the Louisiana Derby. So he's the horse they have to hold off. But he got his big win last time. He doesn't necessarily need points, but I will counter that by saying second start off the bench, he might be better than he was in his last start.
Yeah. It's such a tough read because he ran so well.
That's the problem. You're right.
There's that possibility that he regresses just a little bit, but that's not bad.
No,
considering where they want to be first Saturday in May. So I don't know how, cranked up this horse is really going to be for this race. I know they probably do want to win it because it's a major race, obviously feather in their cap for breeding and all that kind of stuff. But I would think that the goal of winning the Derby would probably be bigger than that.
A fine second or third, they would be okay with that here, right?
Right. Yep, absolutely. But, the horse that really confuses me is Daily Road. I liked this horse a lot last time. And I thought, after watching this replay a few times, that he just didn't get a great ride on the lead by IRAD.
Little too fast.
And we've talked about this for over a year now, maybe even more than that, about how, for whatever reason, IRAD kind of gets a little shaky when he's out there by himself.
Yeah.
He's better when he stalks and he can run horses down. He times it perfectly almost every time. But on the lead, it's crazy. Unless he's on the just by far speed, easy horse, he struggles. I would think that at least in this race, they're not going to go to the lead.
I think so too. I think that's what they signal with Mike Smith aboard too, and the blinkers coming off.
Exactly. Somebody a little more patient. But that also might get them into trouble.
Yep.
Because
hooked a little wide or in between horses, stuff like that.
Because to me, the outside 3 seem to be the best horses in the race. But if you let a horse like Disruptor, who IRAD lands on, funny enough, you can't let that horse go. I mean, how many times have we seen a horse from Pletcher like this win a race? Usually not this big of a race.
But, I know. And it sounds like you kind of, and I kind of too. I mean, I think they're the top 4 that are going to get bet that way. Mm-hmm. I had a hard time finding anybody outside of those 4.
Well, I thought Cool Intentions might be a little interesting. And I know we've talked about this horse before. I like this horse.
He's just been another out of sight, out of mind for a couple months.
Especially that last race.
Because it was so poor, right?
So, well, not even that. Guns Loaded got the easiest lead of all time.
He never had a shot.
Race and never had a chance. So I could see that horse showing up. I don't really think he can win. But I can see this horse getting in the number.
At a big price.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. The 4 Disruptor makes a lot of sense. He stepped forward with that second start. He fits with this group. But I do agree with you. Like, I think the 3 to the outside feel like the horses that are the most proven, the ones to beat. And I mean, I've been a fan of his all along. Like, this feels like the race for. Okay, so I've been saying Tappan Street all along, but now I'm hearing Tappan Street.
Oh,
so,
okay.
So yeah, I always laugh when it's like it changes, but I trust David. David actually was saying that he had heard that from some of the owners.
Yeah, I trust him too.
Yeah, if the owners say the name of it. So, yeah, I mean, he wins his debut, really nice win. Following that, he goes into the Holy Bull, and he runs really well in the Holy Bull. He's a little wide. He has to make an early move. It's his first start going 2 turns. Everything was good. Was run down by Burnham Square, but Burnham Square had a lot more experience and foundation at that point. And after the Holy Bull, instead of coming back to the Fountain of Youth, Brad Cox was really intent on working with this horse in the morning. and he's been really consistent with him. This horse has looked awesome in the mornings, and he's actually working with Saudi Crown and outworking him. The older grade 1 winner, Saudi Crown, who's an older proven horse. So I just feel like it's going to be a great spot. He probably has the running style to get the jump on Sovereignty.
Get your price. That's
right.
The other thing.
Yeah. And it's like, if he's 7-2 plus, which I think he will, be
because they're going to get the Bob money.
Yeah, the 8's going to take money, and even the 4 is going to take money, right? Yep. The IRAD money there, and then Sovereignty money. So those 4 will take money for sure. And I think if there's a race like this where you have an opinion that there's a group of low, short price horses, and you just like 1 or 2 of them more, and you feel like you can have an advantage, like I'm definitely going to swing a couple tickets where I'm singled to the 9 at the end. Because, and a lot of people might be 3 or 4 deep using those other logicals. Sure. If I can get the value with him, that's key. I'll probably do a lot of 9s, 10s, and then just another logical with like the ones that we mentioned, 4, 8, 9, 10. I honestly couldn't get too many of the bigger prices on the win end myself. So I was thinking the best way to get value might be getting the 3rd or 4th choice in the race. Like I think the 9 will probably be the 3rd choice. I would say Sovereignty, Madacat Road. Then I think the 9, like if the 9 and the 4 were flip-flopped or pretty close, that wouldn't shock me. But like both in that range. So I think the value will be there. It should be.
Yeah. You'll get your price. I mean, you know this horse won't be favored. So I guess that seals it right there.
Yeah. Barry, my friend, final thoughts on Saturday at Gulfstream Park and the Florida Derby.
Love it. Let's go. Let's get them.
Where do we find the notorious OTB and all the great stuff that you guys have with Chase? You guys have been covering tons of races recently.
Yeah, we did the Arkansas Derby yesterday, and we're ready for this big weekend, man. We have a good time on that show. One of the things that Chase really has innovated is the $100 budget podcast that we do. I think it's a good starter kind of thing for newer players and even seasoned players because, people have trouble with bankroll management, things like that. And, this could be a way for them to start out and kind of get those things under control and be better horse players in general. So, we have a good time and shout out to us anytime you want. We like to talk horses, man.
Go hang out with Barry and with Chase. Anything you need from that Gulfstream Park shop, past performances, picks, clocker reports every racing day. Head on over to shop.drf.com. Good luck to everyone this weekend. Barry and I will be back next weekend talking some Keeneland. Oh, how about that?
Oh, man.
Keeneland's going to join the party soon. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. Subscribe to the channel below. Leave some of your selections, comments, anything you want to know. Best of luck this weekend at Gulfstream Park.